Warning. Information found within the Foundation database is classified. Access by unauthorized personnel is strictly prohibited. Perpetrators will be tracked, located, and detained. We here at the Foundation have been given strict guidelines for every one of you to listen, learn, and attempt to comprehend sensitive subject matters as an alternate form of testing. You willfully have joined this project, and any exposure to the subject material is considered highly dangerous, and viewer discretion is advised.
Greetings, and welcome to your Scp Foundation Orientation program. As our new Class C personnel, you will be interacting directly with some or all of the SCPs mentioned within today's presentation. You are reminded that all information given today is done so at the sole discretion of the site director, and sharing anything without authorization of a Foundation member with the correct clearance level will result in your immediate termination of your contract and the administration of Class B amnestics. By entering the room, you have agreed to be bound by all these rules and to abide by all security protocols, containment procedures, and other Foundation regulations. Good afternoon.
Hello, everybody.
Everyone, how are you all?
Hello.
I'm a little tired. Didn't get much sleep last night, but doing all right.
Very tired.
Understandable.
How have you all been?
Amazingly, not too bad for once, which makes a lovely change.
Are you finally getting some sleep?
Yeah. I just sort of, you get to a point where you just have no choice. It's sleep or die, and then like nothing short of someone holding a gun to your head will stop you. Yeah, it was just easier to just go to sleep after a while.
Honestly, understandable. That's how it pretty much was for me for a while.
I thought the saying was a knife to your stomach, but that works too.
Ha ha.
Clearly went to different education systems, because I've never heard of that one myself.
Maybe
Must
it was
have been
just my
private school.
parents.
Anyway, all jokes aside, today we have a very special one where we are going to go through a lot of different SCPs in a very short time. We have included with you today a holodisk and a packet, each one including information on what we're going to read out. The sole discretion of what you read in there is for you to gain knowledge and then move forth. A lot of the stuff we will go over, but we will not go in depth, much like the logs and everything like that. It's so you can get more involved. Thank you for joining us. I see that you just came in. As I said, get him a packet if you can.
Yeah, hang on, come in.
No.
Grab one of these, take that. Okay, cool, and try not to break it.
Yeah, you have to be very sensitive with the holodisks. They're a little bit aged, a lot older, but you should be okay. You should have everything down. Now, anyway, the very first piece of media on the agenda today is SCP-5000.
Right, okay then. So, SCP-5000, object class is safe, and the special containment procedures are as follows. SCP-5000 is to be kept in a deactivated state within a standard storage unit located at Site-22. All files and intelligence retrieved from SCP-5000 are to be stored on a secure server with backups available upon request from the Archival Department. The description is as follows. SCP-5000 is a non-functional mechanical suit identified within its internal schematics as an absolute exclusion harness designed by the SCP Foundation. Although SCP-5000 is believed to have once possessed a number of anomalous functions intended to protect and benefit its occupant, damage inflicted to it in the past means that it is currently only capable of basic file storage. For a record of files contained within SCP-5000 upon recovery, see Archive 5000-1.
We also have all of these documents found in the packet as well, if you want to read through them as well.
SCP-5000 first appeared in a flash of light within SCP-579's containment chamber at Site-62C on the 12th of April 2020, containing a corpse. Cause of death was determined to be blunt force trauma, believed to be inflicted by impact with the ground following a long fall. This corpse was genetically identical to Foundation employee Pietro Wilson. Pietro Wilson is currently employed at exclusionary Site 02, one of a series of installations designed to retain information following reality shifts or other temporal restructuring events. Amnestic Therapy has confirmed he has no knowledge of SCP-5000 or memories concerning the events detailed within its archives. The archives are as follows.
My name is Pietro Wilson. I don't know what's happening. I think I might be the only one left. The date is 2020. Sorry, the transcript is tricky. Sorry, I'm not used to this yet. The date is 02/01/2020. I have just escaped from exclusionary site 06. I'm not certain, but I think someone else is dead. Those guys, they were thorough. If I had got to the suit, I'd be... Oh, God. I need to get myself together or this thing isn't going to be legible at all. Most likely they're going to want some kind of record for the whole incident for prosperity. I'm currently on my way to the nearest Foundation installation. A small safe house for agents making their way through this part of the country. Most likely there won't be anyone there, but I should be able to get in contact with one of my superiors and find out what exactly is going on. Things started around 6, maybe 7 hours ago. A group identifying themselves as Mobile Task Force Zeta 19. Quote unquote, lonely only. Insurgent infiltrators, maybe? Into the site, they had proper identification and everything, and gathered everyone into the canteen. Then they started shooting. Jesus, I could still taste the blood. I didn't get that awful metal taste off my tongue. It's a miracle I didn't get hit or trampled on. The way people were climbing over each other to get out of there. If I hadn't gotten to the exclusion harness, I'd be dead. No doubt about it. Like I said, they were very thorough. I'm a technician for the power grid on ES-06, so I didn't fully get how things work. But I understand the basics. The perception filter thing doesn't mean people can see me, but it does mean that they can't recognize the fact that they can't see me. Which I guess is the same thing, but when you get down to it. But those infiltrators, they didn't take anything. They didn't even try to. I watched after I got into this thing. I was too scared. A fucking coward. To make a run for it. They just checked the bodies and left. An extra bullet for every head. They were just there to kill us. Journal entry 0001-3. Finally made it to the safe house after hours and hours trudging through the goddamn desert. There were a few explosions in the distance. Maybe the Foundation sent an MTF to engage those infiltrators so they got away. I hope so. Never been happier to see bottled water in my life. The harness sustains your body while you're wearing it. Apparently, but my mind still thinks I should be drinking. Human nature, I guess. Apparently, once I get these legs of mine rested, I'm going to try and get these systems online. I need to get in touch with the Foundation and find out what exactly is going on. Journal entry 001-4. Holy shit.
There was also a file downloaded from the suit, and the context is that they sent this to every government, news organization, and anomalous agency on the planet. Fuck me. The following is a message composed via consensus of the O5 Council. For those who are not currently aware of our existence, we represent the organization known as the Scp Foundation. Our previous mission centered around the containment and study of anomalous objects, entities, and other assorted phenomena. This mission was the focus of our organization for more than 100 years. Due to circumstances outside of our control, this directive has now changed. Our new mission will be the extermination of the human race. There will be no further communication. Right, we come now to composed file 0001-1. Immediately following the release of their worldwide announcement, the Foundation began their assault on mankind. The response to the anomalies the Foundation let loose was as quick as it could have been, but the damage is being done. It's hard to tell what exactly is going on, but from my position here, accessing the Foundation network and keeping track of the news, I've managed to grasp a little. I'm going to get everything I know down, so that when this is over, if anyone's still alive, they'll know what happened to us. The first relevant anomaly is SCP-096. The action taken is that images of SCP-096's face circulated on social media platforms. Death toll had already reached the hundreds before the images were taken down. For all I know, that thing is still going. And we will now dive a bit further into SCP-096.
That way, all of you can fully understand what exactly they were dealing with in that scenario.
Alright. SCP-096, Object Class Euclid. SCP-096 is contained in its cell a 5 meter by 5 meter by 5 meter airtight steel cube at all times. Weekly checks for any cracks or holes are mandatory. There are to be absolutely no video surveillance or optical tools of any kind inside of SCP-096's cell. Security personnel will use pre-installed pressure sensors and laser detectors to ensure SCP-096's presence in the cell. Any and all photos, video, or recordings of SCP-096's likeliness are strictly forbidden without approval from Dr. Name redacted and a redacted O5 council member. Description: SCP-096 is a humanoid creature measuring approximately 2.38 meters in height. Subject shows very little muscle mass and with preliminary analysis of body mass suggesting a mild malnutrition. Arms are grossly out of proportion with the rest of the subject's body, with an approximate length of 1.5 meters each. Skin is mostly devoid of pigmentation, with no sign of any body hair. SCP-096's jaw can open up to 4 times the normal of an average human. Other facial features remain similar to an average human, with the exception of the eyes, which are also devoid of pigmentation. It is not yet known whether SCP-096 is blind or not. It shows no signs of any higher brain functions, and it is not considered to be sapient. SCP-096 is normally extremely docile, with pressure sensors inside its cell indicating that it spends most of the day pacing it by the eastern wall. However, when someone visits SCP-096's face, whether it be directly via video recording or even a photograph, it will enter a stage of considerable emotional distress. SCP-096 will cover its face with its hands and begin screaming, crying, and babbling incoherently. Approximately 1 to 2 minutes after the first viewing, SCP-096 will begin running to the person who viewed its face, who will from this point forward be referred to as SCP-096-1. Document speeds have varied from 35 kilometers to an undetermined amount of kilometers or redacted. It seems to depend on the distance from SCP-096-1. At this point, no known material or method can impede SCP-096's progress. The actual position of SCP-096-1 does not seem to affect SCP-096's response. It seems to have an innate sense of SCP-096-1's location. Note, this reaction does not occur when viewing artistic depictions of the SCP. See document 096-1, which you all can do on your own time. Upon arriving SCP-096-1's location, SCP-096 will proceed to kill it, and that data has been expunged from the document. SCP-096-1, 100% of cases have left no traces of SCP-096-1. SCP-096 will then sit down for several minutes before regaining its composure and becoming docile again. It will then attempt to make its way back to its natural habitat, which is a redacted area. Due to possibility of a mass chain reaction, including breach of Foundation secrecy and large civilian loss of life, retrieval of subjects should be considered alpha priority. Our doctor has also mentioned for immediate termination of SCP-096, see interview for 096-1, order is awaiting approval. Termination order has been approved now, to be carried out by doctor on a date that is redacted. See incident 096-1A.
The audio log you all can have on the holodisk, and you can look to later.
Yeah, you can get to that one on your own time. The next relevant anomaly is SCP-169. The action taken by the Foundation is as follows. A series of nuclear charges are detonated within and along SCP-169's back, causing it to stir in its sleep slightly. The resultant earthquakes and tsunamis devastate a significant number of coastal settlements around the world. We will now delve a bit deeper into SCP-169.
SCP-169, Object Class Keter. Because of its size, SCP-169 cannot be, and almost certainly will never be, contained. No structure on Earth is large enough or strong enough to contain SCP-169. The location of SCP-169 is not precisely known, but imaging satellites and analysis of eccentricities in the Earth's orbit suggests SCP-169 is located in the southern Atlantic Ocean, possibly stretching from the tip of South America. See the Addendum, you can see that in your packets. And satellite footage of a shift in the landmass produced by SCP-169 is to be excised and destroyed by embedded agents. SCP-169 is surmised to be a marine arthropod of enormous size known as the Leviathan. By generations of sailors and oral history, that's how it developed its name. Presumed at first to be a myth, SCP-169 was detected on an undisclosed time in the 1900s by Mobile Task Force Gamma-6 during an investigation of paranormal activity around undisclosed archipelago. Coordinates are listed here, but they have been redacted for your safety. During Y9's investigation, the doctor, though initially Dr. Blank, believed this motion to be due to unusually quick continental drift. A reconnaissance mission performed by the USS Blank revealed the archipelago to be the protrusions of rock-like plates covering an enormous organic mass. The Foundation was brought in immediately to begin threat management. The doctor and another doctor of Y60421 estimate SCP-169's body length to be between 2,000 and 8,000 kilometers. The creature is thought to have existed since the pre-Cambrian era. No other specimens have been sighted. Almost nothing is known about SCP-169's habits, such as its reproductive capabilities, if any, food sources, and nesting areas as well, if they even have it. Research regarding SCP-169 is pending approval. The archipelago known as the Blank Blank Islands have historically been uninhabited, though claimed by Blank in 1700s. Upon handover to the Foundation, presence was evacuated on pretense of rising sea levels. Though the archipelago has remained above the sea level for several millennia, any change in depth of the SCP-169 could result in the disappearance of the entire archipelago. SCP-169 moves slowly, less than 1 kilometer per week, but sometimes only to be adrift. Its method of propulsion is unknown. Regular seismic tremors seem to indicate breathing about every 3 months, causing major shifts in the island's terrain, suggesting that the creature is probably dormant. Information suppressant. The USS Blank was scuttled with the hands immediately after the discovery of SCP-169, with permission by the American government. The public is forbidden from entering the archipelago created by 169 due to the conveniently large number of resident endangered bird species. As indicated above, satellite footage is to be doctored in order to suppress knowledge of SCP-169's movement. NASA is currently cooperating with the Foundation in keeping the existence of 169 quiet, and is currently permitting the Foundation use of their satellites for photographic use. Addendum 020. In 1990 blank, the U.S. National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, an American scientific agency unaffiliated with and unaware of the existence of the Foundation, detected an ultra-low frequency underwater sound emanating from around these coordinates, approximately blank kilometers from the southwestern coast of South America. Despite the best efforts of embedded agent IA-1522, news of the sound leaked to the media, receiving significant media coverage. Foundation analysis concluded that the massive underwater organism was the source of the noise, and SCP-169 was hypothesized to be the source, as its head is well within the possible locations of the rest of 169. The sound confirms Y60421's hypothesis that 169 is gargantuan in size. Future events by scientific or civilian teams to determine the source of noise must be stopped by any means necessary.
There we go. So, the next relevant anomaly is SCP-662. Action taken is as follows. Over the course of 24 hours, an individual whose appearance matches that of Mr. Deeds appears in the vicinity of several major heads of state and assassinates them using whatever tools are immediately available, disappearing just as quickly. And I don't know why this stopped after the first day. We will now dive a bit deeper into that one. The object class is safe, and the special containment procedures are as follows. SCP-662 should be kept in its red velvet-lined case and stored in high-value storage locker 23C located at Redacted. We're not being utilized for testing or any other appropriate activities. The item itself is safe to handle and poses no known threat of any kind, though the effects generated could be considered highly valuable and variably powerful depending upon how the SCP is used. SCP-662 is a small silver handbell, 4 cm tall and 2 cm in circumference. The bell is missing its ringer. Within the inside of the bell, an inscription has been etched into the silver, reading, "Forever Mine, SJW." The bell is susceptible to damage, however, given its safe nature, destruction has been deemed unnecessary. As it is made of very pure silver, it requires regular polishing to remain without tarnish. When the bell is shaken as if to ring it, a soft chime can be heard, although this does not come from the bell. A short, well-dressed Caucasian butler of self-proclaimed British heritage, a fellow countryman, calling himself Mr. Deeds, will appear from the nearest area, not within line of sight, usually from around a corner. Mr. Deeds will address the ringer of the bell by their appropriate title and last name, and ask what it is they desire. His knowledge of individuals' last names and titles is a mystery, as he himself will purport. Please see interview log 662-L1 for further details, which you can, of course, find within your holotape. Most reasonable requests given to Mr. Deeds will result in satisfaction. However, there are limits to what he can do. He is unable to produce very complex items such as sports cars, luxury homes, or personal jets. If he is allowed to leave line of sight and return, he is able to produce smaller, less complex items such as a ham sandwich, a glass of iced tea, or even more luxurious items like caviar or a brick of gold. A list of notable items the butler has thus far been able to provide to those who ring the bell may be found in Addendum 662-A1, again within the holotape. Mr. Deeds will also perform menial tasks such as washing vehicles, preparing foods, and cleaning bathrooms. If a request is deemed unreasonable or impossible by the butler, he will kindly tell the ringer so and offer an alternative if one may be had. The butler is not immune to ill actions taken against him while in sight. He has been killed or injured in multiple tests, and will remain either dead or injured until he is out of sight. Upon return with the ring of the bell, all previous injuries will have vanished, and he will be groomed and well dressed in his uniform and ready for the next order. A more detailed explanation of the jobs he can perform, and the limits to which he may be put, can be found in the aforementioned interview log 662-L1 L1. Test logs relating to his ability to heal himself and those of the properties of the bell may be accessed by any level 2 or higher personnel. All attempts to catch Mr. Deeds disappearing have failed, as equipment will either fail or he will find a suitable unobserved spot. I will quickly run through the addenda. 662-A1, items and tasks requested and results. Items. Nearly any conceivable kind of sandwich, human flesh has been requested as a lunch meat and politely declined. Beverages, also of nearly any kind, as with sandwich meat, human blood has been requested and denied. Pig blood, however, was served promptly and still warm. A brick of 99.98% pure gold. Mr. Deeds produced a brick of 99.14% pure gold and apologized for being able to provide the requested purity. A brick of 99.24% pure silver. A nuclear bomb, politely denied. A hand grenade of modern US military grade, which performed as expected in testing. A blue 1963 Corvette convertible, politely denied. The board game Monopoly, which Mr. Deeds won on the first playthrough. A Fabergé egg, politely denied. SCP redacted, politely denied. A bouquet of fresh-picked red roses. A bouquet of wild turnbusties, politely denied. Turnbusty is not an actual known type of flower. Tasks. Cleaning of Dr. Mirth's car, performed to near perfection. Washing of dishes accumulated from a day's worth of meals from the cafeteria on level blank of redacted, performed to much higher standards than usual. Trimming of Dr. Mirth's hair, performed, but it turns out that Mr. Deed is in fact not a very good barber. Washing of Dr. Mirth's laundry, performed, and the clothing found to fit better in Dr. Mirth's estimation. Assassination of Osama bin Laden, politely denied. Mr. Deeds claimed bin Laden was too well guarded and entrenched, but could not or would not give further details. Assassination of a D-class individual a room over, performed with vicious precision using a buck knife to the throat. Note, further tests with regard to Dr. Mirth's personal effects are to be forbidden unless approved by one Level 05 Overseer. You've been warned, Dr. Mirth. There are some interview logs which we will skip over as they are in your packs, and finally the acquisition report. SCP-662 was discovered in the possession of a petty thief and grave robber in redacted USA. The thief was in the process of selling SCP-662 to a pawn shop in the mentioned town when the bell was accidentally rung by the pawn shop attendant. Mr. Deeds appeared from the storage area behind the counter and promptly addressed the attendant. Believing that he was about to be robbed by the two men, the attendant overreacted and managed to get a hold of a sawed-off shotgun from under the counter. Mr. Deeds was fatally wounded by the attendant and died on the scene. The thief escaped, but was apprehended by Foundation agents after a week-long search in the surrounding towns. Under questioning, the thief revealed that he found the bell in its box in the grave of a redacted individual located on the outskirts of the above-mentioned town. He was then remitted for D-class personnel assignment and subsequently perished during testing of a redacted SCP. The bell did not come under the purview of the Foundation until after the crime and subsequent transport of Mr. Deeds' body to the local morgue. After the disappearance of the body from the morgue, an agent was sent to investigate the possible outbreak of SCP redacted or other unknown necrotic reinvigorating cause. Mr. Deeds reappeared in the case file item storage room of the local constabulary after the bell was handled by Sergeant Redacted. He was quickly apprehended and Agent Redacted took him into custody 3 hours after reappearance under the guise of an FBI agent. When the handcuffed Mr. Deeds once again disappeared, the agent intuited that the bell itself may have something to do with the string of incidents, and after acquiring it and testing proved his hunch, brought the bell back to Redacted for further testing. Agent Redacted was awarded an official Foundation pat on the back plaque for his handling of the incident and lack of self-serving interest once he discovered what the bell and Mr. Deeds were capable of. The next relevant anomaly is SCP-610. Action taken is as follows. Samples of SCP-610 are dispersed by embedded Foundation agents within many major cities, including New York and Delhi. All civilians in the area, along with the agents themselves, are quickly infected and succumb to SCP-610. Further spread of SCP-610 is halted by the combined efforts of the Global Occult Coalition and the Church of the Broken God. We will now dive a bit deeper into 610.
Alright. SCP-610 Keter class is Special Containment Procedures. Due to the vast area of infection SCP-610 covers, containment is impossible. Isolation of the area has proved far more. Sorry. Got a message on my thing. Sorry. Where was I? Isolation of the area has proved far more effective, and permission has been granted by the Russian government to establish a perimeter to keep people out of these areas under the guise of military operations. Should any organism displaying traits consistent with SCP-610 be sighted near this perimeter, and then the established protocol requires it to be engaged at a range with small arms until immobile, then dispatched using incendiary weapons and munitions from as great a distance as possible. Any living thing coming into physical contact with an organism infected with SCP-610 is considered to be expendable and is to be immediately terminated and incinerated. Any persons coming within 3 meters of SCP-610's infective life are to be immediately withdrawn from the area, be isolated from the rest of their team, and subjected to medical examination using only remote techniques to determine if infection has occurred and appropriate steps taken based on that determination. At the present, the known infection vectors for SCP-610 spread seem to be focused on physical contact. Drone movements within heavily infected areas have returned air samples containing minute particulate with the which, when exposed to organic compounds, will result in the spread of SCP-610. The results of these particular tests, I am sorry, have revealed that most require several days to manifest, if at all. With the exception of direct contact with exposed lung and liver tissue, these particular tests show a rapid rate of growth which requires incineration of the testing environment no more than 24 hours after initial exposure, with even a 2-hour mishap risking a compromised facility event. Given that this kind of rapid growth only occurs in organic material existing outside of the human body, this form of infection is currently considered a minor concern. These peculiarities have given rise to a series of questions regarding the possible origin of the infection in conjunction with the failed, expunged containment protocol. Remains a scorched earth policy at this time, and no concern for transmission via water or air at the infection parameters exists, barring situational changes in the field. Description: initial reports of SCP-610 came from the Russian government through an undisclosable channel. These reports consisted primarily of disappearances of farmers and the region, and were not considered until local police, followed by the regional police, and finally government dispatch agents all failed to report within a 72-hour period. A small military contingency was dispatched to the area and quickly withdrew, at which point the Foundation was contacted to investigate. The area SCP-610 affects is close to Lake Baikal in southern Siberia. Areas of known infection are marked on the map provided to you on your holodisk. Containment parameters are marked in the blue surrounding these infection areas, and as of present, no further locations have been identified. Incursions to the perimeter must be reported prior to conducting confirmed during exploration, and debriefed immediately following return. SCP-610 appears to be a contagious skin disease at first, with which symptoms including rash, itching, and increased skin sensitivity. Within 3 hours, the disease will cause blemishes resembling heavy scar tissue to form in the chest and arm areas, spreading to the legs and back within an additional hour, consuming the victim completely within 5 hours. Exposure to higher temperature vastly decreases the time for the contagions to spread, and complete infractions have been recorded occurring to as little as 5 minutes. After the completion of the infection occurs, the victim's life functions will cease for approximately 3 minutes, after which the time they will restart at 2 to 3 times the activity rate of a normal human. Following this, the scar tissue on the victims will start to move of its own accord and grow at a rapid rate. Normal human features will start to disappear at this point under the infection, and path of mutation appears to be largely at random. Subjects observed in this stage of infection have been recorded as growing 3 or more limbs of a type, such as arms or legs. The head may become misshapen and elongate or widen out, and parts of the subject may split open, from which additional branches of flesh will grow. The duration of this stage of infection is unknown, and not all subjects appear to progress to the later stages. Under unknown conditions, an infected individual will cease moving and place itself in a location it deems suitable where it roots itself. The fleshy growth on the victim will then begin to spread itself across all of surrounding objects and consume them. Such objects do not spread the infection as living creatures do. However, the effect of prolonged contact with these objects is recorded later in this document. It is assumed that this behavior is to create an area hospitable to continued growth of the other infected. Observation of life infected by SCP-610 by staff is impossible. Those infected with the disease immediately seek out aid as a natural human impulse, resulting in unintended infections. Those infected past the scar tissue phase actively and aggressively attempt to infect anyone approaching them from within an unidentified area. It has been established that should an infected be capable of sight and observe an uninfected, it will proceed toward them. If the infected has lost the ability of sight, a range of approximately 30 meters is considered safe. Observation of SCP-610 infected settlements has been established using artificial methods such as remote robots. The data returned from these observations, coupled with the openly aggressive nature of the infected to attempt to spread to SCP-610, has resulted in the clear classification. However, so long as nothing is allowed to enter or leave the infected areas, it is considered a neutralized threat. Of concern, there are the cavernous areas beneath the infected settlements that were discovered during the exploration, and attempts to get research personnel into these areas are underway. The following field logs, SCP-610 L1, L2, L3, L4, and L5, are all on your holodisk. Following field report is for Class A or higher personnel only. Unauthorized viewing of that file is strictly prohibited and will be considered a violation of Foundation contracts and a breach of international law.
As designed by this class, you are all welcome to read it. We have given the rights for it for you.
Absolutely. So we come to the next relevant anomaly in this initial composed file, which is SCP-682, which was simply released.
SCP-682, Object Class Keter. 682 must be destroyed as soon as possible. At this time, no means available to SCP teams are capable of destroying 682, only able to contain massive physical damage. SCP-682 should be contained within a 5 meter by 5 meter by 5 meter chamber with 25 centimeter reinforced acid-resistant steel plating lining all inside surfaces. The containment chamber should be filled with hydrochloric acid until 682 is submerged and incapacitated. Any attempts of SCP-682 to move, speak, or breach containment should be reacted to quickly with full force as called by the circumstances. Personnel are forbidden to speak to 682 for fear of provoking a rage state. All unauthorized personnel are attempting to communicate to SCP-682 will be restrained and removed by force. Due to its frequent attempts at containment breach, difficulty of containment and incapacitation, and high threat of Foundation exposure, SCP-682 is to be contained in site redacted. The Foundation will use the best of its resources to maintain all land within 50 kilometers clear of human development. SCP-682 is a large, vaguely reptile-like creature of unknown origin. It appears to be extremely intelligent and was observed to engage in complex communication with SCP-079 during their limited time of exposure. 682 appears to have a hatred of all life, which has been expressed in several interviews during containment. You can see the addendum in your packet. SCP-682 will always be observed to have extremely high strength, speed, reflexes, though exact levels vary with its form. 682's physical body grows and changes very quickly, growing or decreasing in size as it consumes or sheds material. 682 gains energy from anything it ingests, organic or inorganic. Digestion seems to be aided by a set of filtering gills inside of its nostrils, which are able to remove usable matter from any liquid solution, enabling it to constantly regenerate from the acid in which it's contained in. 682's regenerative capabilities and resilience are staggering, and 682 has been seen moving and speaking with its body 87% destroyed or rotted. In case of containment breach, 682 is to be tracked and recaptured by all available mobile task force, and no teams with fewer than 7 members are cleared to engage. To date, a certain number of attempted breaches have numbered at 17, while successful breaches have numbered at 6. The addendum right here we are going to skip over. There is an entire log here for addendum 682-D that describes all the task forces and the occurrences in which it happened. The next one is termination options. It's a log of an event 682-E18. Dr. Blank attempts to use SCP-409 on SCP-682. General Blank and General Blank and Dr. Blank observing. The log is there for you to read. 682 appears to be immune to SCP-409. Use of other SCP items to terminate 682 must now first be tested on samples of it before full-scale testing. In accordance, the doctor's recommendation, you can see the document, Dr. Blank and Dr. Blank have requested permission to attempt the termination of 682 using 689. The request is currently pending approval from the Overseer Council. It has also been suggested by Dr. Gears to use SCP-182 in an attempt to communicate with 682. SCP-182 has expressed reluctance and refuses to enter the containment center of 682 if at all possible. There is a termination log that is kind of redacted and a lot of information is cut, but you can read it with the experiment log in your document.
Right, so at this point, the end of Composed File 001, we still don't understand quite what's going on. However, we come to downloaded file 0001-2, news footage that the user managed to download in between drinking sessions. Begin log. Reporter Maria Henderson is speaking from inside a GOC evacuation tent. Scrolling header indicates that she is speaking in the outskirts of Trosa, Sweden. Behind her, patients can be seen being treated by doctors in full protective gear. Maria herself is wearing a surgical mask pulled up slightly to allow her to speak into the microphone, which kind of defeats the purpose, to be honest with you.
Repeating what has been previously put out by the Global Coalition, residents that have not already evacuated are advised to seal themselves inside their homes as quickly as possible using whatever materials are available.
One of the doctors attending a patient stands up with urgency, looking over to a soldier standing over the beds. We've got expiration! Get the eraser ready! Maria Henderson quickly begins moving out of the tent, out into a field filled with similar installations. A loud buzzing sound can be heard from the tent behind her, and several flashing lights can be seen. Thick smoke pours out of a gap in the top of the tent.
Any individuals still in a compromised area are advised to keep careful watch over those around them. If any friends or family members begin exuding a noticeable minty smell, they're to be quarantined immediately.
The feed cuts out, and it was later found that was when television stopped. Everywhere. Internet, too. The world was blind in a few seconds.
Journal entry 001-5. It's funny, with the supplies in this place, not to mention the exclusion harness, I could probably survive for years right here. But the idea of being sat here with no idea what's going on in the outside world is unbearable. Still, I'm not sure whether I really want to know what's happening out there either. When I was a kid, real sick all the time, not able to go out that much. I was really into detective stories, Sherlock Holmes and all that shit. I always wanted to figure things out. Anyway, my dad had this row of plant pots on the wall outside the house. They were always getting knocked over, but he could never figure out what was doing it. That was pretty much at my peak of detective obsession, so I was on the case like nothing else. I was a stupid shit, so I couldn't actually deduce anything, you understand? So I ended up buying a cheap spy camera and recording the wall overnight. It was a stray cat. My dad ended up kicking it to death. Like I should have known he would. Curiosity. Well, you know the saying. Everyone involved with it would have been better off if I'd minded my own business. Except my dad, but fuck him. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. But I'd rather be doing something than nothing. Besides, if I have the exclusion harness, nothing that would want to hurt me will ever know I'm there. I'm a tourist at the end of the world. Destination Site 19. Closest real Foundation installation. Only makes sense. I'm getting some answers.
We come now to recorded file 0001-1. An encounter with Foundation elements a few days after leaving the shelter and observing strange behavior. Begin log. Viewing a group of Foundation soldiers in a clearing from a distance, 9 in total, stood in line. A 10th soldier, the commander, is silently pacing back and forth in front of them. Uniforms and insignia look like those of MTF Epsilon 6, aka Village Idiots. After a few seconds, the commander claps her hands once and steps towards the line.
Performing the check now.
Of course. The commander takes out a knife and stabs the soldier in the shoulder. There is no reaction.
Get that wound treated.
The soldier nods. The commander proceeds to stab each soldier in the line in the same way, with no reaction from any of the victims, until the 8th, who noticeably winces.
We got a live one!
The commander and all the other soldiers quickly aim their guns and fire upon the 8th soldier, killing him. She drops to the ground. The commander and then moves to the 9th soldier and stabs him in the shoulder. No visible reaction.
Alright, clear out. We're clear.
Mobile Task Force Epsilon 6 pack up their supplies and leave the area, leaving the corpse of the dead soldier where it is. The Pietro manages to retrieve weaponry and basic medical supplies from the body, burying it as well as possible afterwards. The closing notes are just no fucking clue. Next, we come to recorded file 001-2, a weird transmission that was caught on an old radio. It was unknown for its importance, but, just trying to collect everything for posterity. Begin log. Audio only. Voice is male, roughly the same age as Pietro.
7-5. Can you hear me? There's a hole shining in the holes between your eyelids. I've never been to Versace like this before. I once beloved. 9. I'm standing behind you. 5. I am 2 of us standing behind you. goddess leads the city and the sea. 9. There's a hole in the floor with the answer waiting in it. 7. Look, you're hatching. You're hatching.
The message continues on a loop. The message stopped once. It was turned the radio over to a different station, and let's try that again. The message stopped once the radio was turned over, and it was revealed that it was damaged beyond repair. At this point, Pietro begins questioning whether he is quite of sound mind. We come now to journal entry 0001-6.
When I thought of Site 19 as being relatively close by, I never really took into account what was probably with a vehicle in mind. Can't risk cars or anything like that. Even if I went unnoticed, the vehicle wouldn't. All it takes is one Foundation soldier or wandering anomaly to spot it, and I'm as good as dead. But still, marching through the woods, even with the harness's protection, isn't the most pleasant experience. It'd be hard to move out of the way if anything came trapalzing through. For one, just because things can't notice me doesn't mean they can't run me down. It gives me time to think, though. Like, why the hell am I even going to Site 19? What do I hope to accomplish? If I wanted to stay out of danger, survive as long as possible, I'd be suited getting as far away from the Foundation personnel as possible, not jumping right into the Viper's nest. Answers, I guess, more than anything. I just want answers, even if I get kicked to death afterwards.
We come now to composed file 001-2. Site 19 was reached. The security was in despair, and most anomalies let loose a while ago, so apparently it was fairly easy to get in, although still stressful, moving out of the way of the researchers as they went about their business. They were still talking like colleagues, discussing how to get maximum human casualties like it was something they'd always been doing. But their eyes. It was like something was missing from them, some spark. They couldn't be seen as human looking at the eyes, maybe not even alive. Hard to describe, but definitely creepy. Accessing the Foundation database with some stolen senior staff credentials, there was a basic timeline of what happened right before the declaration of war. I'm still unsure what it all means, but it's a start. So, the date is the 16th of December 2019. The 05 marker project called Numa as being of special interest to senior staff. Apparently, it was a mass amnesticization project like Kaleidoscope, except mostly focused on the collective human unconscious, the psychospace, whatever you want to call it. Apparently, there was some kind of breakthrough in mapping out that psychospace, except I can't see what it is because it's fucking redacted. Typical. The 17th of December 2019, a vote is undertaken by the 05 Council with the result being unanimous. Ethics Committee also concurs. Don't know what the votes were about because it's fucking redacted. The 19th of December 2019. A series of instructions, redacted instructions of course, are sent to all senior staff members and site directors. A wave of suicides and resignations go out across the Foundations, with Dr. Charles Gears being one of the employees resigning. On the 22nd of December 2019, a number of files are sent out to all remaining senior staff members and site directors, with the instructions to also disseminate those materials among the staff serving under them. The files are accompanied by the message, "Harden your hearts." All suicides and resignations immediately cease following the dissemination of the materials. On the 25th of December 2019, there was a full block on all communications in and out of Foundation sites. Termination in the majority of human and human sympathetic anomalies is performed by the staff at each site over the course of the next week. Information suggests an assassination team was sent after Dr. Charles Gears, but it does not say whether they were successful or not. On the 2nd of January 2020, mobile task forces are dispatched to all exclusionary sites to execute all personnel. Immediately following the conclusion of these missions, the Foundation declares war on humanity. Still uncertain what all of this means, but did the 05 Council send out some kind of mimetic agent to get everyone to go along with it? Wouldn't explain why the 05 Council would want to wipe out humanity in the first place. It's just unknowable. More information on the anomalies the Foundation are actively using was obtained as well. With the news down, it's hard to get much solid info on the outside of the records of the Foundation, and even those are still redacted. It's the end of the world. What's the point of redacting things anymore? But either way, it's all on the table. So, the next relevant anomaly is SCP-1370. I'm going to swap this over and do it the other way around. We're going to read the SCP files, then we will observe the action taken, since I think doing it the first way around was a little bit strange. So we will dive into SCP-1370. Object class Safe. Special containment procedures are as follows. SCP-1370 is locked in a fireproof glass display case stored in Gallery 27. If the case becomes damaged by external circumstances, any container within dimensions of at least 1.25 by 0.75 by 0.5 meters will suffice as a replacement until a new display case is available. The Ethics Committee recommends that any long-term storage case contain enough space for SCP-1370 to move freely. Level 2 personnel and higher may remove SCP-1370 from its case at their discretion, but will face disciplinary action for failing to secure it properly afterwards. SCP-1370 is a self-aware artificial being constructed from various electrical devices and tools. It stands approximately 1 meter in height and is capable of moving its articulated joints despite the lack of any power source or motors. SCP-1370 communicates in a monotone voice via a speaker mounted in its chest. Its head is a voltmeter soldered upside down to a neck joint, giving the appearance of a friendly smile, but containing no active sensory devices. However, SCP-1370 will react to visual and audible stimuli, and its ability to do so is hampered when the head is covered or otherwise restrained. Its design appears to give more importance to aesthetic concern rather than function, as evidenced by a poor center of gravity that hampers its ability to balance and walk. It is therefore believed that SCP-1370 was created as an art object and later imbued with anomalous properties rather than designed with those in mind. It can currently speak fluent American English, French, and Latin, and is capable of learning new languages. Other facets of its intellectual capacity have not been clearly outlined, as SCP-1370 is invariably hostile in all interactions with any being or object it interprets to be sapient. This includes, but is not limited to, animals, Foundation personnel, civilians, audiovisual equipment, and security cameras. If SCP-1370 encounters an object it believes to be sapient, it will attempt to engage the object in combat, while introducing itself with a variety of elaborate titles, which appear to be selected at random. Examples include Doombot 2000, Robo-Law the Destructor, Prime Minister Sinister, and Darth Claw Killflex. SCP-1370 will often include variations of these titles based on responses it receives from personnel. Foundation staff have successfully introduced Patheticon the Garglemost and Pesterbot to its lexicon. As an addendum, many tests on SCP-1370's combat prowess have been run, each confirming that SCP-1370 lacks the physical aptitude to cause damage to any living being. Test 1370-8239 exposed SCP-1370 to a common houseplant with the speaker hidden in the plant's pot. After SCP-1370 was provoked verbally, it attempted to fold and twist the leaves of the plant with its graft before incapacitating itself. Normally we would have the log that follows, but that is, of course, within your holotapes.
No, it's actually hilarious about this.
Yeah?
So we have actually read that to a class before.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, a previous briefing. But I'd already started, so it was too late to stop. The action taken with SCP-1370 is that television service temporarily returned. All channels are propaganda speeches from SCP-1370 rambling on and on about how he's going to take over the world or whatever. That one's actually that's not too bad. Next we come to SCP-1048.
Alright. SCP-1048 was originally classified as safe, but then reclassified as Keter. Originally, SCP-1048 was free to roam at Site-24, and it posed no threat. and has been observed to greatly improve the morale of personnel. That is no longer the case. The whereabouts of SCP-1048 are currently unknown, though it is believed to be somewhere in Site-24. Subject is to be secured for containment, but any creation of SCP-1048 should be destroyed on site, unless further evidence warrants less extreme actions. No teddy bears are to be allowed in Site-24 to present any confusion or mistaken identity. Any object that resembles a teddy bear is to be reported to the security team immediately. This is not a joke. We have no idea what SCP-1048's full capabilities are. Who knows how many of the damn things are out there now? A note by Dr. Carver. Description: SCP-1048 is a small teddy bear approximately 33 centimeters in height. Through testing, composition of the subject revealed no unusual qualities that made it discernible from a non-sapient teddy bear. Subject is capable of moving of its own accord, can communicate through a small range of gestures. The subject regularly shows affection to individuals in ways found endearing by most people. Affection is usually given in separate events, and it has even drawn childlike pictures for the janitorial staff. All Foundation personnel that have interacted with the subject have responded positively to its affection, even D-class personnel with normally sociopathic tendencies. Attempts at direct communication with SCP-1048 have not been considered successful. Though it is capable of simple gestures to indicate a yes or no answer, it will often not react to lines of questioning concerning its nature or where it originated from. It is not known if this is because SCP-1048 simply does not know the answers, or because it does not want to answer. Though capable of drawing pictures, it has not used its art as a form of communication beyond showing affection, even when encouraged to do so. The more anomalous behavior of SCP-1048 was not observed until approximately 7 months after it was originally secured. It is hypothesized that the subject is able to construct crude replicas of itself using various materials, by a process that is yet to be observed directly by a Foundation staff member. Dr. Carver has suggested that the SCP-1048 uses its endearing qualities to lull those around it into false sense of security, allowing it to collect materials to produce these creations. Currently, there are 3 known creations of SCP-1048 designated to SCP as SCP-1048-A, B, and C. The nature of these creations has been in stark contrast to SCP-1048's general behavior, as it has exhibited extreme violence towards humans. On a redacted date, SCP-1048-A was discovered wandering Site-24 accompanied by SCP-1048. Subject resembles a teddy bear similar in size and shape to SCP-1048, but is made entirely out of human ears. Witnesses interviewed reported that it appeared SCP-1048 was giving a tour of the Site-24 to SCP-1048-A. Dr. Carver was called to the scene along with a security team. The security team arrived first and attempted to contain SCP-1048-A. Subject emitted a high-pitched shriek that inflicted intense pain in the eyes and ears of everyone in a 10-meter radius. Ear-like growths immediately began growing on those within 5 meters of the subject, covering their bodies in less than 20 seconds. Every person afflicted with this symptom died within 3 minutes, resulting in the death of an unredacted amount of personnel, including the entire security team. Autopsies revealed the cause of death may to be asphyxiation due to an abundance of ear-like growths manifesting in the mouths and trachea of all victims. SCP-1048 and 1048-A fled from the scene before Dr. Carver arrived, and had not been contained since the incident. Though sightings of both have been reported on multiple occasions, shortly after this incident occurred, a researcher was discovered to be missing an ear. According to him, it was removed through an unknown means while he was sleeping. No other victims of ear removal were found, so it is unclear if SCP-1048 obtained more ears from another source or if it is capable of duplicating objects or materials. SCP-1048-B. Subject was discovered by several Foundation staff members in the cafeteria site of Site-24 on a redacted date. Subject's appearance was nearly identical to SCP-1048, but was not moved, but it moved in an irregular, jerky manner. Witnesses reported that it appeared as if something was moving inside of SCP-1048-B. Subject made no attempt to interact initially until a burst in it seemed revealed what appeared to be a hand and arm of human infant poking out and grasping at the air. At the sight of this, a female researcher with a redacted name screamed. And SCP-1048-B reacted by emitting a high-pitched cry similar to that of a human infant. Subject then attempted to... The data has been redacted, possibly to be too disturbing. The screaming researcher, causing massive internal damage. Ensuing the chaos, the security team was forced to a redacted action, both the researcher and SCP-1048-B. Approximately 3 hours after this incident, a redacted doctor was found unconscious and bleeding in her office. An abortion had been performed on her while she was sleeping, and the 8-month-old fetus was never found. It is hypothesized that SCP-1048 used Dr. Redacted's unborn child to create SCP-1048-B. Information regarding the possible origin of SCP-1048-B is not to be leaked to survivors currently undergoing therapy for the incident with SCP-1048-B, as Dr. Carver believes it would be extremely detrimental to their recovery. I want therapy now. SCP-1048-C. Subject resembles a teddy bear similar to SCP-1048, but composed entirely of rusted metal scraps. Subject was first cited on a redacted date by Dr. Carver in his office while writing up a report on the SCP-1048-B incident. Subject fled the room when it noticed Dr. Carver observing it. In an attempted pursuit of SCP-1048-C, Dr. Carver witnessed the death and maiming of a redacted amount of Foundation personnel as the subject exhibited extreme violence during the escape. SCP-1048-C has not been encountered since the initial sighting. It is unknown whether it still resides somewhere within Site-24. The origins of any materials possibly used to construct SCP-1048-C by SCP-1048 are unknown at this time. Addendum 1048-1 SCP-2295 is similar, but nearly antithetical in function to SCP-1048. Attempts to establish a common origin are ongoing. Extreme caution is to be taken if SCP-1048-A or 1048-C are encountered again. A note from Dr. Carver: I cannot stress this enough. That damn thing jumped right through those poor people. And I'm glad I'm not at that site anymore.
Yeah, that's a rough one, I'm not gonna lie. For what it's worth, the action taken is not great either. It's unknown how the Foundation managed to catch the thing in the first place, but helicopter footage shows hordes of bears created by 1048 rushing through the streets of Paris. The footage isn't too clear, so it's uncertain, but it does also appear as though there is a massive red teddy in the distance as well, walking around next to the skyscrapers. The next relevant anomaly is Me too, buddy. Is SCP-1290, which we will dive a bit deeper into.
SCP-1290. Objects class safe. Research sites 48 Alpha and 48 Beta have been established around the branch facilities housing SCP-1290-1 and SCP-1290-2, respectively. Activation experiments involving SCP-1290 have been indefinitely suspended pending a better understanding of its operational principles. SCP-1290 is a pair of prototype electronic devices that were built by Prometheus Labs as part of research into a long-range teleportation. Each device consists of a platform 2 meters in diameter, attached to a 5 meter by 20 meter by 3 meter main unit, both of which draw power from the dedicated generator. The 2 copies of SCP-1290 are located in diametrically opposed antipodal locations of the Earth, and SCP-1290-1 located in redacted Colombia, and SCP-1290-2 redacted in Singapore. When the object is placed on the platform of 1290-1 and the main unit is activated, the object is instantaneously, minus a 10 millisecond delay, teleported to a platform of SCP-1290-2. However, due to what is suspected to be a design or engineering flaw, the object retains its orientation and velocity relative to the axis of the Earth. That is, when a stationary object enters 1290-1, it exits 1290-2 upside down and traveling east at approximately 930 meters a second. See Addendum 1290-01 for information. 1290 came to the Foundation's attention following the closure of the Prometheus Lab main facility and was secured and contained on Blank by elements of Mobile Task Force MU-4 debuggers. The chief engineer in charge of 1290, Dr. Blank, is wanted for questioning by the Foundation as yet to be located. 1290 is currently being reverse engineered by Foundation research teams in an effort to understand and replicate its technology. The Addendum 1290-01 Incident Report. In order to establish the functionality of 1290, Foundation researchers attempted to teleport a regulation 14-pound bowling ball from 1290-1 to 1290-2, resulting in 3 casualties and severe damage to the research facility and neighboring warehouse. Until 1290 is fully functional and the source of this flaw is identified, activation experiments have been suspended until further notice.
The action taken in the SCP-5000 incident regarding SCP-1290 is as follows. 1290-1 and 1290-2 are moved from their original position and used as a rudimentary projectile system to launch projectiles at a secure GOC installation called Ganzir, a fortress city standing in the Atlantic Ocean, designed to house humanity's survivors in the event of an end-of-the-world scenario. It's not 100% certain the files, but it looks like it's just one of a frankly obscene number of anomalies they're using to try and break in. To be honest, they'd be better off just firing missiles, but nobody seems to have considered that. Understandable. We come now to SCP-1440. So, first things first, the object class of SCP-1440 is Keter. The special containment procedures are as follows. SCP-1440 is currently uncontained, and its location is unknown since its last containment breach. Due to the nature of SCP-1440, the Foundation may not have the means to contain it without risking an unacceptable loss of resources and personnel. Until suitable containment procedures can be found, focus should be given to the location and surveillance of SCP-1440 and to minimizing civilian exposure to it through the identification of its travel pattern. SCP-1440 is a man of unknown ethnicity and age. When questioned about its name, place, or time of birth, SCP-1440 will refuse to answer, although it is unclear if this is due to the subject being unwilling to share this information or not possessing it. Though the subject's appearance is that of an octogenarian, it has not shown any signs of aging in the 50 years since first coming to the attention of the Foundation. SCP-1440's anomalous nature becomes apparent once it comes into contact with human population or man-made objects, and remains in contact with them for longer than a few days. SCP-1440 has an acute adverse effect on everything connected to humanity. Prolonged exposure of any man-made object or person to it will cause increasingly destructive events to occur in SCP-1440's vicinity until the destruction or death of said human element. The only exceptions to this are SCP-1440 itself and its belongings, which are its clothes, a sack made of an unidentified material, a pack of worn playing cards, and a small glass cup. SCP-1440 appears to be aware of its effect on human populations and will attempt to avoid coming into contact with them wherever possible. Despite these intentions, SCP-1440 is compelled to travel in what seems to be a highly complex pattern, which invariably leads it into contact with human population. The exact nature of this pattern has not yet been successfully analyzed, and SCP-1440 has not been able to provide any information concerning it. The subject is not actively hostile and will not resist attempts to contain it, though all such attempts have failed and led to a considerable loss of personnel and resources due to the aforementioned anomalous properties. SCP-1440 was first brought to the Foundation's attention when it approached a redacted doctor, a researcher at a redacted site, on her commute to work. 1440 showed unexplained knowledge of Dr. Redacted's work for the Foundation and requested her assistance. When Dr. Redacted inquired about the nature of the assistance the subject required, it responded that it hoped the Foundation would be able to destroy him. SCP-1440 was brought back to Site Redacted for questioning, which led to the destruction of the site and the deaths of an unspecified number of personnel numbering in the hundreds, and the destruction of 6 safe and Euclid-level SCP objects. All other attempts at containing 1440 have resulted in similar occurrences. As an addendum to that, the following log was an interview conducted with 1440 during the 4th attempt. However, it's being stored on a remote server and also is now on your holotapes. As another addendum, due to the growing size of human population and its rapid expansion into previously empty areas, SCP-1440 attested during its 5th containment that it is becoming increasingly difficult for it to avoid contact with humanity while still adhering to its compulsion. Analysis of the subject's traveling pattern is continuing, and efforts to find a permanent containment procedure are as well. The way this was used in the 5000 incident is that SCP-1440 was transported from refugee camp to refugee camp by Mobile Task Force Nu-22, aka the Rocket Men, where its anomalous effects cause rapid devastation to those fleeing communities. Strangely enough, the way those events are described in the files make it sound like 1440 actually has no effect on the Foundation personnel assigned to it. So, the next relevant SCP is 1678.
Alrighty. SCP-1678, Object Class Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-1678 remains only partially contained. Mobile Task Forces Tau 4 and Epsilon 6 have succeeded in establishing a defensible perimeter around Hyde Park District of SCP-1678, with cases of SCP-1678-A largely ceasing their attacks on the perimeter of the Foundation-held area. Sorry. A long-term research base is currently under construction, and Mobile Task Force commanders are preparing an assault on SCP-1678 Natural History Museum with the intent of capturing a forward command post to direct defense efforts. Current short-term aims of involve capturing a forward command post. Sorry, people are emailing me from the Foundation.
Just ignore it. Put it on silent for now. We have to finish this.
Yep, I know. Current short-term aims to involve the capture of an extension of the defensible perimeter to the SCP-1678 Natural History Museum, and to research and ascertain the origins, construction, and weaknesses of SCP-1678-A entities. Long-term aims to involve efforts to halt, hinder, or control the production in SCP-1678-A entities and assault the SCP-1678 Houses of Parliament, where being entity or intelligence responsible for the creation of SCP-1678 is believed to reside, and to capture and contain the aforementioned being. Description: SCP-1678 is a full-scale mirror image reconstruction of British city of London, relocated exactly 1 kilometer underneath the original city of London. Currently, only the Hyde Park district of SCP-1678 has been explored, but all buildings, at least within the explored district, correlate exactly to their surface counterparts in terms of location as well as exterior size and shape, although rarely in terms of architecture, building material, and interior layout. The city has been constructed to resemble the city. The city has been constructed to resemble the city as it was in the Victorian era. Who the fuck wrote this? I'd like to speak with them. With constructions designed to resemble traditional gas lighting prevalent on the streets and within all modern buildings of the original city of London, being presented as a Victorian style of architecture. Most notably, the skyscrapers in the business district. Illumination is infrequent and unreliable, as it is unknown how SCP-1678 has acquired a steady oxygen and gas supply. SCP-167 is believed to have been constructed instantaneously by unknown means, with SCP-1678 Houses of Parliament serving as the epicenter for the construction process. This is evidenced by the fact that as distance from the Houses of Parliament increase, there is an exponentially increasing frequency of flaws in the construction of SCP-1678, such as houses built entirely out of copper pipes or other unconventional materials, gas lights being a little more than a metal rod taped with a floating orb of light, buildings containing no floors, and its furthest explored distance from the epicenter, no windows or doors. Aside from Foundation occupants in cases of SCP-1678-A, B, and C, SCP-1678 is believed to be uninhabited. SCP-1678 is believed to have been constructed with the intent to harbor survivors of an XK class. I'm sure I said that wrong. I'm sure that's actually a symbol for something. End of the world event. This is evidenced by an audio recording that is on your holodisk and play upon any person entering the city. Most explored buildings within SCP-1678 appear to have been outfitted for the purpose of extremely dense inhabitation, with closely grouped steel bunk beds, a common feature in any building suitable for the purpose. Foundation researchers have advised that most unexplored buildings within SCP-1678 are unfit for human habitation due to high preponderance of mold, damp, and poor construction within these buildings. Some buildings are outfitted for other purposes, most notably SCP-1678 version of the Natural History Museum. I'm so sorry. Which is featuring an exhibit titled The Fall of Man and contains representations of several known SCP entities and images and artwork depicting apocalyptic settings. The key threat posed by SCP-1678 is by entities referred to in some SCP-1678 audio recordings as a Bobby's. Bobby is known to be the Victorian-era British slang for policeman, henceforth referred to as SCP-1678-A. These entities are constructed out of human corpses crudely dismembered at the head, wrists, knees, and elbows and reassembled using simple industrial hinges and screws. The head is always wrapped in bandages. They're dressed in uniforms similar to Victorian-era police and are extremely hostile towards Foundation personnel, attacking them on sight with improvised weapons. These attacks are always preceded by SCP-1678-A emitting a noise similar to that of a policeman's whistle, and all loudspeakers within 100 meters emitting audio recording, "Police, halt criminal." Instances of SCP-1678-A are extremely resistant to damage, with only high-caliber rounds and explosive weapons proving sufficient to destroy them. They are believed to originate from a building named the Bryson's Home for the Poor, as evidenced by an inmate-style jumpsuit worn under the uniform. To what extent they interact with other SCP-1678 entities is unknown. There are several overviews on your HoloDisk related to this SCP that you can read on your own time. It is currently unclear what entity, being, or intelligence is responsible for the creation and maintenance of SCP-1678, and it is unclear as to what event or disaster SCP-1678 is being prepared for.
The use of 1678 in the SCP-5000 incident is as follows. The Foundation intentionally abandons containment of 1678, removing personnel from the immediate area. Once chaos caused by additional anomalies makes evacuation of London impossible, officials from the British Occult Service, or MI666 as I call it, directs citizens to take refuge in SCP-1678 below. Once the city has reached capacity, the Foundation detonates the nuclear device stationed there prior to abandonment. So,
Due to time restraints, any further SCP logs that are on this document outside of 5000 are found in your HoloDisk, and you'll have to look over them yourselves.
So, there are a handful of deleted files and a few journal entries.
It's been about 3 months since my last entry. God knows what I've been doing since then. The time between then and now is complete blank in my memory, and looks like the files from that period have been deleted as well. As far as I know, I should be the only one able to do that, so take that as you will. I seem like I've been through a few rough patches. I have scars that I can't quite recognize, and I have a bandage wrapped around my temple. The exclusion harness doesn't seem to be damaged though, so I don't know what hurt me. Did I fall off a cliff or something? The sad part is I can actually see myself doing something like that. Never was the smartest. Site-19 is long gone. Well, it's still there, I assume, but I'm halfway across the country. Couldn't tell you why. It's weird though. I feel like I have a purpose now, even though I'm not 100% sure what it is. Just where I need to go. There's a briefcase in my hand. I'm having trouble recalling what exactly is inside it. All I know is that it isn't round, and I need to get to SCP-579, Journal Entry 0018. I estimated how long it would take to get to SCP-579. Site-19 was a trek all on its own, but 579 is another story entirely. I wouldn't even know where it was without this documentation, which I have no idea how I obtained, but that's besides the point. I've stopped counting the corpses as I walk past. It's probably in the quadruple digits now. Jesus, he's maybe even higher. Came across the dead body of a kid, a little boy in the house. I was grabbing some supplies from a while back. At first, I thought he'd been shot in the head, but when I went to bury him, I could see that there were things moving underneath his skin. Little pale worms, hundreds of them. That poured out of the second I touched him. They all had his face. They were laughing. Scurried off into the drain. I don't try to bury people anymore. Keeping going is a lot more difficult than you think.
There are a few more deleted files, and we come now to composed file 001-3. This thing in the briefcase is a godsend. It's unknown exactly what it is, but if things getting too much, then all that needs to happen is it's opened up, and the next thing that is known is miles further along from where they just were, feeling all warm, like something gave them a pep talk. It's like a skip button for when things are getting rough. There was temporary access to the Foundation database from the corpse of an agent that was found half buried in the woods. Wolves were already helping themselves to the body, but they didn't mind them taking the laptop. At least they didn't notice. Anyway, the Foundation is still throwing everything they've got at everyone else. So here we are with another table. SCP-2000. The Foundation intentionally triggers the eruption of Yellowstone, obliterating SCP-2000. For now, anomalies deployed by the Mana Charitable Foundation have slowed down the environmental effects at an absurd rate, but it is still just a matter of time before we choke on ash. SCP-2200. Somehow, the Foundation seems to have mass-produced SCP-2200-1, and those swords are making their way into the hands of refugees. With all the victims the SCP-2200-1 are cutting down, SCP-2200-3 is overflowing, with a mountain of living SCP-2200-4 trapped under a mountain of dead SCP-2200-4. SCP-2241. One of the few human anomalies that weren't terminated. It appears that SCP-2241 is being used as a living weapon to destroy the biggest refugee camps that crop up, forcing survivors to remain in smaller groups. It's unknown how they're getting it to be that loyal, but it's probably not pleasant. Last information on SCP-2241 says that it's being deployed to assist with the siege at Ganzir. Apparently they're still having trouble. SCP-2466 was constantly being used in order to compel survivors originating from redacted California to perform actions both socially disruptive and physically hostile. This was apparently effective, but after the 4020th use of SCP-2466, it crashed and became unusable. Guess there weren't any residents left. SCP-2639 were being dispatched to survivor communities and installations for groups that opposed the Foundation in order to kill everyone present. Apparently they were told that they were fighting monsters that had escaped from containment and were destroying the world. Clearly they figured out that wasn't the case because they refused to do anything since about the 6th time they were deployed. Good for them. There is now another journal entry.
It's nice having company, even if they don't know you're there. I'm sat around the fire with a group of GOC soldiers who are trying to make their way. Well, I don't really think they actually have anywhere to go at this point. Just wandering, maybe. I thought about revealing myself, trying to ask them to help me to get to 579, but I don't want to risk it. I've just gotten used to not existing. Forget being a tourist. I'm a ghost. The suit really is a wonder. Managed to access their connection to the GOC database with it while they were making coffee. News isn't good.
There is now a downloaded file 0001-3, an interview log from an interrogation facility inside Ganzir. As far as it's aware, this is the first time a captured member of Foundation personnel has spoken during interrogation. The interviewer is a Commander Morrison, with a scientist called Dr. Rhodes also being there. The guy being interrogated is a member of Mobile Task Force Omega-2, the Secret Keepers, Samuel Ross. No video, only audio. It's unknown if that is an issue with the file, or just something that was recorded in the first place. Begin log.
You know where you are.
I'm in Ganzir, right? You guys grabbed us while we were trying to sneak in.
That's right. Do you know why you're here?
You're going to interrogate me, I assume.
Doctor.
Confirmed. Subject has nothing implanted inside him. No mental agents or cognitive hazards either. You're safe to begin.
Okay. None of your colleagues you've spoken to have talked. Not a one, not a word. Why are you talking to me now?
We've met before. Do you remember?
I'm sorry.
In that joint operation in Tenerife a few years back? With the seagull prince. You remember? I was wearing a gas mask back then, so you probably don't recognize me, but I recognized you, and it gave me a chuckle, so that's why I'm talking.
That's the only reason.
Yeah.
When we caught you trying to sneak into the city with the refugees, you and your comrades started firing into the crowd at random. Men, women, and children all murdered for no reason. Don't you think that's crazy?
Fucker.
That's funny to you?
Sorry, I didn't mean to be rude, it's just... I just thought that was a little hypocritical.
What?
Well, I mean, you're interrogating me like the information you'll get will help you, but there's no time for you to really do anything the way I see it. No matter how many times you fire able at Professor Crow's Europa will rip this place right open before long. But you're still acting like you can do something about it. Don't you think that's crazy?
If you've just spoken up to talk nonsense, you can always try enhanced interrogation. I don't want to, but I'll do it.
Do what you want. Once you realize you're not supposed to feel pain, there's nothing to be afraid of anymore.
What do you mean by that?
Nah, you wouldn't want me to say.
I very much do.
I'm not talking to you.
That doesn't make any sense. Tell me now.
You sure?
We're still good on inoculations?
Cleared on all the Foundation kill agents, yes.
Then spit it out, Ross. Stop stalling or we'll have to get unpleasant.
Fine.
I didn't catch that.
You'll have to speak up. That microphone only has so much gain. The following information is then excised. Commander Morrison and Dr. Rhodes could be heard screaming loudly. Wet cracks and the sound of rushing wind are also audible. The screaming, which grows higher pitched over time, continues for the remainder of the recording. Look what you've done to yourselves. I told you wouldn't like it, didn't you? That's why you hear your voice. But you wanted to know so badly. I really liked you guys, so I was trying to be nice. We're so kind to you, you know? We fight in the light, so you can die in the dark. Disgusting. Apparently, right after this, some kind of emergency arose inside Ganzir, and the city ended up being destroyed from both the inside and outside. Files don't mention the specifics, but the GOC may be done. There are then some more deleted files, and finally journal entry 001-10.
It's getting hard to keep going. When the GOC were keeping up the fight, there was this sense that things could still be turned around. But with them on the run now, it's too easy to feel there's no point in this all. With Ganzir taken care of, the Foundation has turned their full attention back to everyone else. I don't need a drink anymore. The harness takes care of all that. Anyway, there's too much risk of anything I consume will be contaminated by one of the alpha viruses the Foundation is trying to spread. I've seen corpses in pretty much every state imaginable by this point. Some of them walking around even. Every time I open the briefcase to skip, I make a little less progress, feel a little worse. Whatever was helping me before, it's like I've grown numb to it. Wouldn't be the only thing. What am I even going to do? 579. Do I actually have a reason?
We come now to composed file 001-4. The Foundation is still fucking us, and here's a table about it. SCP-3078. Apparently the Church of the Broken God managed to get the internet back up and running in some areas. only. The Foundation fucked that pretty quick by uploading thousands of copies of 3078 through pretty much every medium available, so the internet went back down. SCP-1379 thing was freed from containment after the Church of the Broken God started trying to rebuild things. Sparked a civil war inside the church over whether this thing is mechane or not, which really put a damper on their ability to help out. Plus, it's making as many fucking Terminator things as it can, so that's fun. SCP-3199 eggs are now being airdropped pretty much wherever. I'm sure you can imagine how that's going. More may be added later. We come now to journal entry 1-11.
I've been making my way toward 579, maybe a little slower than before, but who can blame me for lack of motivation? Been seeing some strange things lately. Stranger than usual, I mean. First, on the blinkers. There's been quite a few of those around lately. Now, I'm pretty sure those were created by the Foundation, even if I don't know how. I don't know most things, so just add this to the list. There's statues of soldiers, MTF uniforms with empty sockets for eyes. Their arms are carved into blades like that you'd seen on the praying mantis or something. They're harmless as long as you look at them, but the second you look away, they can move, and they're fast. Someone cut through an entire crowd of people when a gust of smoke blocked it from view for just a second. I'm wary of them. Me looking at them stops them too, so even if they don't perceive where I am, they're going to deduce that I'm there. Might just start slicing everything in sight, and then that's the end of me. Need to do my best to avoid them completely. The second thing I saw is, well, a lot weirder. It's on the horizon, like a person stretched out. No, that's not the best way to describe it. It was like the space around them was stretched out and they were being stretched along with it. It was some kind of bad Photoshop effect. Their body went from the ground up to the clouds and their jaw swung at the right angles. There were these gaps as well, black gaps in space around its body, like wings. It just floated forwards like that. There were Foundation guys there too, but they were fighting it, shooting it with guns and rockets. How fucked up is that I'm thinking the Foundation fighting an anomaly is weird. Maybe they were like me, managed to get out when this all kicked off. Thought about talking to them, but decided not to. Can't risk it. Got to get out of here. I need to get to 579. I need to do something. Anything. Journal entry 001-12. So the kid died today. Couldn't have helped her. Didn't. I'm a piece of shit.
Now to composed file 1-4. SCP-4290. Through use of a sample of SCP-008 enhanced by SCP-914, the Foundation reanimates the corpse of SCP-4290 and lets it loose. Kaiju Mancers from the Serpent's Hand engage, but the file isn't clear on what the results are. Heard the library detached from this universe, but looks like these guys stay behind. Idiots. SCP-4666. The Foundation used temporal anomalies to make it so it's technically Christmas everywhere. Oh, fuck it. Nobody's ever going to read this anyway. Come now to recorded file 01-3. The view is of the interior of an abandoned jewelry store from the front door. The night sky could be seen through a broken window. A teenage girl is sitting in a makeshift fire in the middle of the store. A ruby amulet is hanging around her neck. Perception filter is disabled. The girl jumps back, alert, picking up a rusty pipe as a weapon.
Huh? Who are you?
I recognize you. The necklace, I mean.
Ah, shit. They sent you to kill me? You're gonna be here a while.
No, I'm not. I got away too. Did you get away too?
Jesus. You look like shit, pal. When's the last time you slept?
The suit, you don't need to sleep with it on.
You do need to sleep. Your face, it's seriously a disaster, man. You hate to see it.
Can I come in?
But of course, there's enough broken glass for everyone. I was joking. You could have grabbed a chair.
It's fine. The suit's sturdy.
Suit yourself. That's a fancy piece of kit you got there. Want to trade?
No way. I've read the file.
Worth a shot. Been a while since you laughed, huh?
Not been much to laugh at.
Not even when Pesterbot showed up on all the TVs?
Okay, that was kind of funny.
So, you got away too. I mean, assuming you were a Foundation guy, not one of the many people I've pissed off in my lifetime here for revenge.
Aren't those the same thing?
Now you're getting it.
Yeah, I'm Foundation. Was Foundation, I mean. Got lucky when all this started, got into the suit and escaped. You?
Well, I was the senior staff. We would have been told about the plan before anyone else. But damn if I can't remember what it was. Probably because of the second file.
The second file, you saw it? What was it?
Whoa. Cool your jets, kid. We've got all the time in the world. There were just a bunch of images. Eggs, trees, religious stuff. Didn't mean anything to me by themselves. But I guess they had something encoded in them. They didn't take like they should have. Probably because of this thing.
So it was a mimetic agent.
Don't know about that. I've pretty much had everything that can happen to me. I know what a mimetic agent feels like. It didn't feel like that. More like I was being released from something, and then something being forced on.
I see, so you don't really know what's going on either.
Nope.
Fuck.
So, you're heading somewhere, or just wandering around feeling sorry for yourself?
I'm heading to 579.
If you're suicidal, there are easier ways to go about it. Believe me.
You know what it is?
Not a clue, which is concerning because I'm kind of a big deal.
Doesn't matter. I have to get there.
Why?
I just do. Where are you headed?
1437. Gonna see if I can't piss into another universe. Then throw this amulet down there and see where I wake up.
Sounds like a plan. Good luck to you.
I wish you good luck too, but we both know you're not getting it. Day's about to break. I'm heading off.
Okay.
I hope you find what you're looking for at least.
Me too.
There again, more files deleted, and we come to journal entry 113.
Alright, journal, it's been a while. Right now I'm looking at site 62C where 579 is supposed to be. There are no guards as far as I can see, and all security is down. Looks like the place was extremely high priority, but it looks like the Foundation doesn't agree with me anymore. I have the briefcase in my hands. It's difficult to breathe. I feel like everything will end soon, one way or another. I'm heading in. Hi again, journal. I know I ended the last entry so dramatically, but it's been about 30 seconds since then, but I have an important update. The second I got close to 62C, I got a feeling like someone was pressing a gun against the back of my head, like I was standing on the edge of a roof and someone's hands were on my back already to push me. Some fight or flight shit, dialed up as far as I can go. I don't know what SCP-579 is, but I know it was looking for me.
Recorded file 001-4. Oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. View is the inside of a hallway within Site 62C. Severe damage is visible on the walls, appearing as if it was done by the usage of a large knife. The lights overhead flicker.
Fuck.
The lights flicker again. When they come back on, a statue of a soldier with blades for arms is visible underneath them. It has empty sockets where its eyes should be, and its face is locked in a snarling expression. They were wrong. They're here.
Journal entry 001-15 was right. Even if they can't notice me, they figured out I'm here, slashing everything in sight. Gouged one of my legs. Hurts like shit, but I need to keep moving. They're not chasing me, but they're heading to the same place. Need to get there first. Need to keep watching them. Journal entry 001-16. Made it. I made it. Entry 0001-17. It's not fair. But I made it. It's not fair. They're stuck behind the door. I can hear them slashing at it, but it's reinforced. It'll hold for a while, a couple minutes at least. I'm in an observation chamber full of instruments for monitoring 579. The actual containment chamber is right below me. I can just barely see it. If I strain my eyes a little, there's a hole. There's a hole in the floor that leads right down there. I know where 579 is. Even if instruments weren't here, I can feel it. You can't be near it without feeling it. Probably for a second I thought I could just drop the briefcase into the hole and be done. But that would be too easy, wouldn't it? After walking halfway across the world, I guess I haven't earned the right for something to be easy. From the angle of the hole there and where 579 is, the briefcase wouldn't even come close to touching it. The only way it's making contact is if I were to jump in the hole and throw it on my way down, but that height. Throwing the briefcase would be the last thing I'd do. Of course. Of fucking course. I've taken my whole life to realize, but I'm not the kind of person that can be a detective. I'm just the murder victim. I die for someone else's story, and the human race is going with me. I know who done it, how done it, but those were obvious. Everyone knows those, and those were handed to me. I don't know why. In the end, I couldn't figure out even a single thing. Why is this happening? Why is the Foundation killing everybody? Why is this happening? Why did they send out those files? How did Garza fall? Why is this happening? Why am I taking this briefcase across this world? Why is this happening? Why am I here? Why am I doing this? Why am I going to die? Is there a reason? If anyone is ever reading this, please figure it out. Explain it to me. Someone. Anyone. I don't get it. I just don't get it. They're about to get in. First foot forward. So, that's how it is.
That is the final journal entry and the end of the file as we receive it. I'm not gonna lie, I'm completely lost. I have no idea quite
Aren't you
what.
completely lost?
That's fair. That is fair. I am almost always completely lost. But what? So it's just some alternate universe where this just happened? I don't feel we have enough information to adequately describe literally anything.
I don't feel like we should be asking questions that we're not asked to ask.
Well, I mean, someone has to ask, right? I mean...
Yeah, if we do that, then it could lead to other things. In reality, we're just simpletons in this company, even if there's other things that are there.
Well, that's true, but I mean, it's still our job to ask questions, to investigate, to study, to learn. That is our raison d'être as a foundation, no?
If we were forced to ask the questions, we would find out things that we didn't want to know. The main thing that I've learned from all of this is to focus strictly on your site and not get involved with the others.
That's true, but what if, the thing TM is what's caused this whole chain of events? I mean, where would we even fit into that? Are we on the bad guy side, the good guy side? Which one even is that?
Would we be exempt? Would be a better question to ask.
No, we fucking wouldn't. We never are.
Or maybe we shouldn't ask what side we're on in the first place. Let's just do our fucking job.
The Foundation isn't
That is
heroes.
true.
I want everyone here to know this. The Foundation is not heroes. We are simply containing them for the betterment of ourselves and preserving life that we deem worthy. We have D class that are literally being thrown into pits every day just for testing.
Always remember, the Foundation is cold, but not cruel. We don't deliberately take sentient humanoid SCPs and force them to have a life of torture and horror, because that wouldn't be fair. But just don't look too close to the D class thing. They know what they sign up for.
The Foundation is ethical to their own extent. They're not just... We are all bound by their rules and regulations, and you all will learn this. You can read through all of the addendums that we sent in the logs. You will understand that there's a lot of things that happen that are out of our control.
There's a lot of nuance going on. It's not a cut and dry kind of scenario.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. Let's move on to SCP-6223.
6223.
So, give me a moment. Seems that I'm having a little malfunction here. Okay. And yes, you're right. I haven't taken a drink. Thank you for actually bringing that up. A little bit of water here and there could help. Item number 6223. Containment class safe. Disruption class Kinnick. Risk class caution. A circular perimeter has been established around the current location of SCP-6223. For a preliminary quarantine zone has been established.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Something probably broke containment. Everybody, it'll be fine. Jesus Christ!
What the fuck?
Hey, whoa.
What's going on?
Don't move, wait for the instructions.
What's going on?
Really?
I can explain.
Shut the hell up.
No, we're level 5 personnel. We deserve to know what the hell is going on.
You're
I
awkward.
said shut up.
Okay.
What the fuck?
Do you guys know any of them?
No.
No.
What the fuck did you do, Frank?
Wasn't me this time.
It's always you.
Yeah, because it's totally about the lunches that you take. No, this is a lot different. Jesus Christ. Seriously, we need to have answers. We're not... Just tell us what's going on.
I think there's been some sort of misunderstanding.
What?
I really wish it wouldn't have came to this.
Oh, fuck.
I simply believe that things could have been better if you left well enough alone.
Listen.
Now I have to do something that I really didn't want to.
What do you mean?
What?
Get rid of that.
What the fuck do you mean?
Cut the feed.
Get the eye before they can get back up. Right away. You go ahead and cut their feed. Roger.
Oh, hey. How you been?
I've been alright, how about you?
A lot of things have changed. I miss this place, though.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Too long.
Counting? I never have, but I'm willing to learn.
Is this how everything works around here? Just the same streets and same designs?
With all this money coming in, we can totally have one.
Mom? No, wait up!
He is incredible, isn't he? Sounds amazing.
Honestly, when I leave this place, I have no intention of coming back.
I could, but things have been rough, really.
No, I'll miss this for sure.
I guess I'm just waiting for something to change.
No, I'll be alright. I just want something, you know?
Hey, I think I can help with your little issue here, but it ain't gonna be free. You better be ready to pay the price for it.